This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were ever going to get any money back. And then waiting, wondering, and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/audio. This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was dealing with piles of paperwork and frustrating forms, and then waiting and wondering and worrying if you were ever going to get any money back. Now Taxes is easily uploading your forms to a TurboTax expert who's matched to your unique tax situation. An expert who's backed by the latest technology which cross-checks millions of data points for 100% accuracy. While they work on your taxes, you get real-time updates on their progress. And you get the most money back guaranteed, all while you go about your day. No stressing, no worrying, no waiting. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman, and this show is brought to you by the New World Mexican Women. The only way to find the website for the New World Mexican Women is to Google New World Mexican Women. It'll come up right away on Google. And they provide you with, they have written a couple of books about how to make authentic Mexican jewelry. They also, they've written these lovely books about their experiences with their men coming to America. And there's another one called Zaquino at the Rodeo. Now, they sell videos on how to create these authentic Mexican jewelry, and also too, if you want to buy this authentic Mexican jewelry wholesale, you can work out a deal with them and sell it here in the United States and make some money. So it's a New World Mexican Women. Now, this is the first time you're listening to our show. Please check out OppermanReport.com. You can go there, and we have all kinds of exclusive content available in the members section, only for subscribing members. You can find it there in the Opperman Report members section. Now, today we got a very special guest. We got Randy B. Fowler. I had mentioned him a couple of times in the past promoting this, but I actually lost his phone number. I just got a hold of him recently, and he came on at the last second for us, too. We just booked him yesterday. Randy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Randy.
My pleasure.
So, Randy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was a professional drummer for over 30 years, touring out throughout the United States and Canada, and retired in 2004 after a very long, illustrious career, making a living at it, not being a rock star. And then I wandered around for about a year or so doing odd jobs, and ended up landing a job with a limousine company. And after my first gig, when I dropped clients off at the Idaho Center, I had gotten mobbed by everybody. They all wanted their picture taken with me, and I was kind of shocked. And it just turns out that I look exactly like Rod Stewart, and that's the way I wear my hair. And it made me realize, well, gee, maybe I can make a living doing this. So this gal hired me, and I worked for her for a while until she moved out of state. Then I went to another company, and within just a couple of months, I had been branded this Rod celebrity chauffeur. And I never dressed in a traditional black suit and white shirt. I just thought it was no way to stand out in a crowd and have people remember you at the end of the night. So I asked, each company I worked for, if it was okay if I just dressed the way I wanted. And they didn't seem to have any problem with it. And all of a sudden, I was very famous in town, and everybody was calling to, get me to be their chauffeur. So after a couple of years, I had the opportunity to start my own limousine company, Rod's Limos, where I just carried on, and I'd been doing it up until this last summer for over 7 years. And my business partner retired and sold the limousine, so at the moment I'm basically on a sabbatical until I can get a new limousine. And I was very fortunate to be as popular as I was. I was the official chauffeur for Make-A-Wish here in Boise, Idaho, and did a lot of charity work for kids, and did some public speaking, and things like that. And really, it was quite a departure from being a professional musician, except that I turned being a chauffeur into something different and unique. People can go to my website and pick out the colors and the clothes they want me to wear for their special occasion. And the inside of the limousine would be decorated in those colors too, with the colored napkins and the balloons and the silk flowers and the satin pillows. So every client was treated very uniquely and special for their particular celebration. So I was sorry to see, that I lost my limousine, because I really did enjoy it, especially doing the Make-A-Wish Foundation kids. And that's basically it. And now I'm unemployed and looking for a new job. So that's a quick synopsis of what's been going on.
Well, we caught you at a good time when you got some free time to do an interview. Okay. Hey, by the way,
yeah, exactly. Last September, all of a sudden, I've been trying to keep out of the tabloids for the last several years, and I was finishing up 3 straight years of college online, and I graduated on the dean's list with my AS degree, and realized that I really wanted to write this book on sexual child abuse, and came to the conclusion that I wasn't as dumb as my parents made me out to be. So I contemplated, gosh, should I write this book? And all of a sudden I got all this publicity, and everybody was calling me for an interview, and, newspaper articles, and a publisher called me and was interested in my book. And he asked me, could you have the manuscript by the end of the year? And this was like the middle of October. And I hadn't even sat down and wrote a single word yet. And I said, yes, I can have it done by the end of the year. And, he probably thought, yeah, I've heard that before. I've got lots of writers that say they're going to write a book, and then they never do. I wrote 96,000 words in 47 days, and which is phenomenal, because my whole life is based on I don't start anything unless I'm going to finish it. So I finished it and sent over the manuscript, and they read it over, and they called me a couple weeks ago and said, yes, we love your book. We'd like to take it on as a project. So it's in the editing stage right now. So it's completely out of my hands, and I've given them carte blanche to do whatever they need to do to make the book commercially viable. I was instructed to write it with the most brutal honesty about my experiences with sexual child abuse from my father, and the rift that it caused between my famous brother and myself, all because I chose to not let him be abused by our father. And it wasn't an adult decision. It's just what big brothers do. They protect the little brother. And in the end, I didn't even get a relationship with my brother. And he has refused to acknowledge that if it hadn't been for me intervening, he probably wouldn't be as successful as he is today, because he would have been carrying around all this emotional baggage that I had to deal with most of my life. So I'm a little disappointed that he has shunned me, from the family, but I understand it, and I accept him for who he is, and I love my brother, and the book is very brutally honest about some of the things that have happened, over the last 30 years, and the complete deterioration of my relationship with my entire family. So it's, but the book mostly is about the brutal truth on how destructive child abuse can be to an individual, especially when you live in silence, and the path that it puts you on. And the longer you live in silence, the longer it takes you just to get back to square one. So my book is a serious look at the topic, and there's many, many breadcrumbs to show people the patterns of what happens when you don't deal with it. You just shovel it under the carpet. So I'm hoping that this book will touch people and see the breadcrumbs and realize, wow, this is no way to live, that, this happened to me, and it may be different circumstances, but the results are always the same. One of the major problems with abused children is they make all their decisions based on feelings and not the facts, which are inevitably going to get you into trouble. So after 30 years of dealing with this topic, I came to the conclusion that my feelings just don't matter anymore. It's all about the facts, and every decision that I've made in recent years has been based on the facts, and my feelings just don't enter into the equation.
Okay, Randy, let me ask you a couple of questions. But before I do, I want to tell everybody to check out randybfowler.com. And you can see pictures of Randy there, too. He has a frequently asked questions section. And he does look exactly like Rod Stewart, just amazing.
Well, I'm a lot taller, and I'm not as promiscuous, and I definitely dress better than him.
Okay. And also, Randy has another website called rodslimos.com, but they're trying to raise money for a new limo, so they have a GoFundMe, and it's Randy Rods Limo at GoFundMe.com, so check that out as well. So now, Randy, you mentioned that you had a famous brother. Now, who's that?
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey, the famous actor, Oscar-winning actor. Now, you described that you were molested by your father as a child. Now, well, first of all, before we get into that, when did this rift come between you and your brother that you don't talk to each other anymore?
It basically started when he went into acting and started to get famous. He just stopped. Complete correspondence with me, and I had in 1988. I had finally got up the courage. I saw him once in Seattle and told him exactly what had happened, when we were growing up, and he was absolutely shocked, And I think what happened was because my brother had such a close relationship with my mother, and my mother spent the better part of her life denying that anything inappropriate ever happened, even though she knows it did. I think she poisoned Kevin against me, and my brother, with his close relationship with her, chose to believe her and not the truth. So I've only seen my brother 4 times in 35 years, so I don't really know who Kevin Spacey is. I know who Kevin Fowler is, but not Kevin Spacey.
Now, does he still have a relationship with the mother and father?
Both my parents have passed away.
Okay.
The last time I saw my brother was at my mother's funeral, and that was almost 12 years ago.
And how did that go?
It was strange. The entire funeral was like an award show. My brother didn't bother to contact any of my mother's friends to invite her to the funeral. So they, you know how the ceremonies are divided up into 2 sections, family on one side and friends on the other. Well, there were no family, friends, except my sister and her husband and her 2 kids. But on the friends side was my brother's entire staff from Trigger Street Productions. And like I said, the whole funeral was like an award show, and it actually kind of disgusted me on the fact that my brother had my mother buried under an alias name just so the paparazzi wouldn't show up. So it's an interesting story that goes into quite detail in the book on what happened. And when I was leaving after the funeral, my brother promised to call me and that we would keep in touch. And I said, Mother would want us to bury the hatchet and be brothers again. And I haven't heard a peep from him in over 12 years.
Now, what about the sister? Where does she fit into all this? Does she get along with you or Kevin?
She used to, until back after my mother died. I had my biography written by a professional writer because I wasn't equipped to be able to write at that time. And the Mail on Sunday in London wrote an article about me, and my sister read it and was really upset that I would, have the courage to write my story to try to help other abused children. And I haven't talked to her in over 12 years also. So she wants nothing to do with me either, because she just doesn't want to have to face the truth about who our parents really were.
Now, you say that you were abused by your father. Now, was that sexual and physical, mental abuse?
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/audio.
Went on.
All of them. Sexual, physical, mental. My life was a living hell from the time I was 8 years old until I was 18 and finally moved out of the house. Just to get away with it. My father started with the lecturing and used to beat me to force me to read when I wanted to go outside and play with my friends. And if I made a mistake, he would whip out his writing crop and beat the shit out of me, because I didn't get it right. And then in 1968, he started on the sexual abuse, and I know my mother knew what was going on because he had brought me in the master bedroom and locked the door behind me, and I was screaming for help for my mother, and she was pounding on the door and wanted to know what was going on in there. My father just grabbed me by the throat and said, "Don't say a word," and I kept screaming and screaming, and finally she just walked away and just gave up. And from that day forward, I was abused a couple of times a week for years and years. And what ended up happening is that a lot of abused children do what they call either acting in or acting out. And I started to act out and became very disrespectful and disobedient. And my parents thought that I needed discipline, but I didn't need discipline. I just needed my father to stop raping me and my mother to admit what was going on. So they sent me off to military school. Because if I wouldn't listen to people who supposedly loved me, maybe I'd listen to a stranger. So that was another whole hell that I had to go through for a couple of years. And anyway, that's that.
Yeah, I saw something on your brother's Wikipedia page about military school, too, as well. Did you both attend the same military school?
Well, the first year I attended Ridgewood Military Academy in Woodland Hills, California. And then after finishing that year, I went to public high school and was so emotionally scarred. I couldn't function as a normal teenager. I basically flunked out of my first year in high school. So my parents decided to send me back to military school, and this time they decided to send us both because they thought it would be a good experience for Kevin. But a miracle happened, and the school ran out of funds after only a couple of months being there, and we both went back to public high school. So my brother only attended military school for a couple of months. What was funny about the military school is that the place was in absolute shambles. My classroom didn't even have a roof on it. But since I had already had the experience on a year of military school, I pretty much knew how to play the game. Within the first week, I had already been promoted to sergeant. You know, I figured, gosh, if the school would have stayed open, I might have been colonel by the end of the year. And, because I learned how to play the game,
right.
And I knew how I had to behave in order to survive. And my brother was pretty much invisible there, and I was just glad that school closed because I didn't care for that type of environment. I had to be, driven from Thousand Oaks all the way to Northridge, California every day, and I didn't have any friends and felt very alienated and alone. But I'm just glad that it didn't last very long. And then, we both came back and basically, went to public high school.
What is the age difference between you and Kevin?
Kevin is 3.5 years younger than me.
Wow, you'd think you guys would stay close,
Well, yeah, you'd think so, but I think deep down, my brother probably feels that he owes me at least a thank you for saving him from what I call our father in the book, the creature, and giving him the emotional tools to go out in the world and make something of himself. And I tried for over 30 years to keep in touch with him, and I thought as long as my mother was alive, there might be a chance to where she could try to bring us together. But as soon as she died, there were no more ties. For me to at least be able to talk to my brother. I have no way of getting a hold of him. I have no phone numbers. There's no way that I can ever try to reach out to him, even though I've tried.
Okay, now, do you think your brother and your sister, were they ever molested by your father or abused by your father?
My brother was definitely not molested. I think by the time my mother realized what was going on, she decided to put her protective wings around my brother and never let go. They had a very close relationship for the remainder of her life, and As far as my sister, I don't really. I think something went on, but I don't really have any proof. The only proof I have is that when my sister was 18 years old, she moved to Europe to search out a husband. Evidently, something must have happened in her life to where she couldn't even date an American man. So that's a question that she would have to answer.
Now, when the abuse was going on, when you were a teenager and you were a kid, did you ever talk to your brother and sister about it?
No, I was so frightened of the creature that I didn't have the strength to yell any louder, because every time I yelled, my screams went unanswered, and it skewed my entire personality, and started making me not trust people, especially my mother, and not knowing who I could talk to because I couldn't trust them. So I lived my entire childhood in total paranoia.
Now, there's another, I read in one of the articles that your father was some kind of a neo-Nazi or a white supremacist?
Yeah, and a racist. Oh, yeah, he used to, I feel sorry for my mother since she had to live with him. He used to cut his hair like Adolf Hitler and wear a Hitler mustache in the 1960s, 69, 70. And I'm like, what kind of a lunatic does that? I mean, he was very much damaged goods. Evidently, when he was in World War II, he was stationed over in Germany and felt sympathetic toward the German people's culture and plight, and became brainwashed and obsessed with Adolf Hitler and racism and blaming everybody for his problems, as opposed to taking responsibility for your own actions. And he was mentally ill. And when he came back from the war, he was not diagnosed by an army doctor that he had PTSD or any mental illness, and he just went off in the world and became very bitter about everything. And he tried to brainwash me and tried to, make me believe all of this neo-Nazi, white supremacist crap. And I absolutely refused it, because I don't think someone's religion or skin color has anything to do with anything. And, we live in a society now where it's even worse than it's ever been, and, I just don't understand it. I don't believe it. I fought it all the time. He used to lecture me for hours and hours every single day. And I'm not just talking a couple of hours. I'm talking 8, 9, 10 hours. I'd have to sit there. And if I tried to leave, he'd pick up his famous riding crop and whip the crap out of me. So I anytime I didn't have to be home, I wouldn't be home. I would spend most of my days just waiting for at least my mother to come home, because he wouldn't be able to rape me, at least while she was there. So I just spent most of my time outside the house, just trying not to be around that environment.
Now, was he trying to indoctrinate your brother and sister, too, into this Nazi belief?
No. And that's the funny thing about it, is that my brother never had a single lecture. He never had a single spanking. I mean, he was spoiled rotten, and at a very young age, I was very envious of him and very jealous, going, he couldn't do any wrong, and because he was so protected and sheltered by my mother, my father never really, after the abuse had started with me, and because I intervened, my brother was basically not available. My mother was just always around him and gave him everything that he wanted, But my mother basically just decided, well, if I can't save Randy, at least I can save Kevin, So it was a tragic decision that my mother made to abandon one of her children, and decide just to protect, Kevin and make sure that Kevin was okay.
Now you're saying, though, that you also protected your brother. How did you go about protecting your brother from this?
I would intervene. When my father would want to talk to my brother, I would come and immediately stand in between them and say, Kevin, go ahead and go outside and play. And my brother never really understood it, but being a young kid, he just went outside and played, and then my father proceeded to abuse me. I can't even tell you how many times I managed to maneuver myself between my brother and my father just to protect my brother, because even at a very young age, I knew I was screwed up. And there was no way I was going to let this creature mess Kevin up too. So I consciously made sure that he was never alone with my father, and that I was always going to be there for him.
Now, you describe your father having a riding crop. Now, did he have a horse? Did you have a horse?
No.
So he just
had a riding crop, because that was his weapon of choice to beat me. People have been spanked before, where the father says bend over and you grab your ankles and they spank the crap out of you. Well, I learned from military school that they also had severe, what they call corporal punishment, and they used to have the commandant had a big wooden paddle with holes in it. Used to beat the crap out of me all the time because of my attitude and what I said. And I started wearing 2 and 3 and 4 pair of underwear under my uniform so that they could go ahead and beat the hell out of me, and I didn't feel anything. And I started doing the same thing with my father, and then he must have got wise to it. So instead of hitting me on the butt, he started hitting me on the back of the legs, which were not protected, So it was awful.
Okay, yeah. I went to Catholic school. I had one of those paddles as well with the holes drilled in it. Okay, this might be a good.
It doesn't bother me anymore, because that person that I was is dead and gone, and all that's left are the memories of what I endured, and that's why I was able to write this book so quickly, because it didn't bother me to talk about it anymore, because that person's gone. What has left over is the character that I turned into, a very loving and caring person for everyone I meet, regardless of their race or color. And I have a new perspective on my parents and my brother and my sister, and I don't blame them at all. It's like, this is the cards that were dealt to me. Now, you either deal with it and stop feeling sorry for yourself, or you're going to end up just continuing to make the same mistakes over and over again. So that's why all my decisions now are based on facts and not my feelings, and that's how I run my life now.
Okay, Randy, this is a good time to take our commercial break, okay? So we'll be right back. Thank you. We'll be right back with more of Randy Fowler. He's the author of the book, A Moment in Time, Living in the Shadows. He's the brother of a very famous actor, Kevin Spacey. Has a website called randybfowler.com and also rodslimos.com, but he's trying to raise money for a new limo. So go to Randy Rods Limo at GoFundMe, and we'll be right back after these messages. And now, a word from our sponsors. Pacific West Bamboo, your premier source for sustainable building material. They provide construction-grade and craft-grade bamboo material for all your indoor, outdoor, and gardening needs. Contact them for event planning and display building as well. 503-839-8126. Or you go to their new website, pacificwestbamboo.com. Or you can contact them on Facebook at Pacific West Bamboo. That's 503-839-8126. Amanda from Pacific West Bamboo was our first sponsor. She's been so good to us, so please support her in return. I want to make everybody aware of our new members section at www.oppermanreport.com. You can go there and sign up for a monthly, quarterly, or yearly subscription. You can even purchase episodes one by one. You get full access to brand new original content, new guests, new uncensored interviews, my own investigations and reports, and we're going to be adding sections with documents, images, police reports, either provided by myself or by my guests, or for my own investigations, my own reports. So you can go to oppermanreport.com and you can sign up there tonight. You can start listening tonight. Strawman. I want to mention Strawman. Strawman is a band out of Toronto, Canada. They're good friends of the Opperman Report. They're a trio of guys who share the same mindset most of us here do, and they put that energy into their words and music. So check them out at strawmanmusic.com and drop them a line to let them know that you heard them here on the Opperman Report. We'll be doing an interview with Sean Duffy soon. You can get an autographed copy of my book, How to Succeed as a Private Investigator, by visiting my PI website, emailrevealer.com. We also offer a computer and cell phone forensics. We can recover deleted text messages to uncover infidelity. We offer asset searches, locates, email tracing, background reports, and we can even trace your spouse's email address back to internet dating websites to catch them cheating online. You can reach us at 800-572-9762, or you can email me at emailrevealer@aol.com. New World Mexican Women. Everyone loves the New World Mexican Women, and their line of fine, handcrafted, authentic Mexican jewelry of stone mosaic and abalone stone inlay. In their first book, titled New World Mexican Women, available on lulu.com, they teach you how to make this jewelry, and they have a collection of love letters to their men from their hometown that have immigrated to the United States to find work. They have also published a new book entitled Azuquina to the Rodeo. It's about a young girl that falls in love with a rodeo bull rider, and she runs away with him without telling her family. You can find the New World Mexican Women by Googling New World Mexican Women. And you can ask them about their deals on wholesaling their fine jewelry and all of the other projects that they have going on. If you'd like to have your business or website advertised here and promoted all over the world on dozens of stations every day, give us a call at 800-572-9762 or email oppermanreport@gmail.com. And now back to our show. Well, not so soon. First, we're going to talk about MichiganMushrooms.net. They offer the highest quality chaga chunks available anywhere, picked fresh from healthy live trees in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, sun-dried and quickly shipped to you. They're very proud of their long-standing reputation as trusted farmers and collectors of wild, gourmet, and medicinal mushrooms. Customer service and offering high-quality products is very important to them. And they have a strict grading system that begins in the woods, and they would rather pass up a chunk that looks bad instead of passing it off to you, the customer. Additionally, they are recognized by the state of Michigan as mushroom experts. They are certified by the Department of Agriculture to sell 20 different species of mushrooms, and proof of this certification is available upon request. That is MichiganMushrooms.net or on Facebook, Michigan Mushrooms LLC. Got a brand new sponsor, The Rodeo of Doom by Miguel La Sala. The year is 2384. And Henry Fields is a down-on-his-luck adjunct professor in the architecture department at Andreas Tangen University in Los Angeles. But he has one thing going for him that others don't. He has enough of the coveted EP14 to live to be 200, if he wants to. Not that hard. When he saves a woman for certain death with a few drops of the EP14, a corrupt government agency tries to blackmail him into selling off his supply. Just when it seems like it might be a good idea, all hell breaks loose. The Rodeo of Doom was written by Miguel La Sala and edited by Margaret A. Harrell, the author of Keep This Quiet, memoir series. Now, she was also the copy edited Hunter S. Thompson's breakthrough book, Hell's Angels. According to Harrell, the rodeo of doom will grip you and pull you into the wild ride of a different reality. This is a consciously fast-paced journey into the future. Author Miguel Lasala reveals his craft by intricately weaving in fine details for his reader and keeps you anxiously anticipating what will happen next. Do not wait to read this book. There will surely be more to come from this author. The Rodeo of Doom is available on Amazon.com, and there's a link to the Rodeo of Doom in the Opperman Report bookstore. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with Randy B. Fowler. You can go to randybfowler.com, also rodslimos.com, and GoFundMe page is Randy's Rods Limo GoFundMe. Author of the book, A Moment in Time, Living in the Shadows. Now, a couple of questions for you. Your dad, what did he do for a living?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. He stayed at home and pretended to be a writer, but never wrote a single page ever. He never finished anything he started. He started lots of stuff, but he never finished it. There were very few times while I was growing up that he actually had a job. The money was procured by my mother, who was an executive secretary, and he just stayed at home and sat there with his ink dip quill pen, writing the same sentence over and over and over again, page after page, looking for the perfect handwriting so he could write his book. And that had a profound effect on my life, and that's why I don't start anything unless I'm going to finish it. And that's why it was so important when I made the decision to write my book that I was going to finish it, because the legacy my father left was start everything, finish nothing, and then blame everybody else for his failures. So he had a huge library of history books and religious books and Nazi books, and he hung his Nazi flags and his pictures of Hitler all over the office, and it was very disturbing, especially in the 1960s, to be associated with someone with such extreme views on the world.
What was his rank in the military?
He was evidently a medic in the U.S. Army, and supposedly, whether it's true or not, because he felt sorry for the German people, he supposedly ran a black market operation, trading and selling, commodities and cigarettes and things like that for the German people. But whether it's true or not, there's no way to prove it. This is what he told us.
Okay, gotcha. Now, you describe being in a closet holding a gun. What's that about? Randy? Might have lost our connection with Randy here. No, yeah, Randy, can you hear me? Yeah, we might have. Randy, can you hear me? Okay, let me try hanging up on him and call him right back. See if that works. We need a better connection anyway. There's a little distortion there. Okay. Randy, are you there? Oh, you might have hit your mute button, Randy. If there's a little picture of a microphone, if there's a little red line going through it, you might have hit that. And you might be on mute. What do you think? What I'm going to do? Call up Randy's phone number. We never give up around here at the Opperman Report. Let's see. I got Randy's number, and we're going to call that up. Here it is. Okay. This might be better audio anyway, so.
Okay.
Hey, Randy, how are you?
Fine.
Yeah, we lost your connection. So why don't you turn off the? We'll cancel. I'll hang up on you here with the. Oops, almost hung up the wrong one. Okay. Okay. Yeah, there's a little feedback there. Okay, Randy, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Now, there was an incident where you went in a closet with a gun. Can you describe that?
Yes, my father was in the house upstairs, and I was upstairs looking for my brother, but he obviously was outside playing, and my father started yelling out my name, and I knew what that was, that, he had the urge again, and I frantically was looking for a place to hide, and the only place I could hide was in their master bedroom in my father's closet. And when I opened up the door, I glanced up and saw a wooden box, which I knew was my father's German Luger that he had brought back from Europe. And I opened up the box and figured out a way to make sure it was loaded, shut the closet door, and got down on my knees with a loaded gun and waited. And he was frantically going around the house calling out my name, Randall, where are you? And he eventually made his way to the master bedroom and was looking all around. And I vowed that if he opened up that closet door, I would pull the trigger. And he never thought about looking in his own closet. So I was safe at that moment in time, and that became one of my new hiding places to avoid being abused by my father.
Well, let me ask you this. Now, are you aware of the story about Kevin Spacey being on that plane with Jeffrey Epstein?
No, I'm not.
Do you know who Jeffrey?
I don't follow my brother anymore. I have no idea what he does.
Well, do you know who Jeffrey Epstein is?
No, I don't.
Well, he's this guy down in Florida. He's a billionaire down in Florida with a private plane, and he was convicted of convicted sex offender. He's a pedophile, and he flew the plane, and he became famous because he had flown Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey, and Chris Tucker on his private plane to a trip to Africa, and everyone said, hey, who's this guy, Jeffrey Epstein? Turned out later on he was molesting 3 little girls a day. Now, what would you make of something like that, your brother being on the plane with this convicted sex offender?
I don't know. Like I said, I don't even know who the person is. My brother has his own secrets that he continues to keep from the public, and I don't really care one way or the other whether they're true or not. He's my brother.
Right.
Why he would be on a plane with a sex offender, I have no answer for that. I have no idea.
And there was an incident too. I think it was in London, where it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he was at a park, and he got into an altercation with some guy, and he made like a false police report. Are you familiar with that story?
Yes, I am.
Well, what do you think happened there?
This is what I was told by Sharon Kircher, the lady who wrote the article on me for the Mail on Sunday.
Okay.
Kevin, she had a notebook full of Kevin, evidently in compromising positions and photographs with other men. And, I had heard of the rumors about my brother's sexuality. It didn't really bother me. It didn't change how I feel about him. And she told me that evidently it was a sex event that went bad, and that something happened with that person, and my brother evidently claimed that he had been mugged in the park. So, that's a question that only he would be able to answer, but I can tell you that he probably would give no comment.
Yeah, it has all the signs of a late night stroll through the park, looking for it.
She had this entire notebook full of all these photos of my brother, in these outrising positions with other men. One can conclude that maybe there was supposed to be a financial transaction involved or something like that, but I wouldn't know. I just know what she told me, and supposedly he filed a police report, and I guess people didn't buy it, that he was supposedly mugged in the park, so I don't really, I don't have any other information than that.
Okay, no, but now what about when you guys were teenagers? Was there any signs of homosexuality when you guys were teens?
No.
Okay.
No, he was just my brother and I were really close when we were growing up. We did everything together. My brother, in his younger days, was not popular. He was just he was kind of a loner, and he used to hang out with me and all my friends. It wasn't until he got into high school that he became interested in acting, and then his life went on a different path from there.
Now, did there seem to be any outside guidance that got him on this path to stardom?
I think the emotional stability that he had in his life and the love and support he received from our mother had a great influence on his life. And but when somebody is too nurtured and too pampered, they end up growing up with no feelings, just an empty suit. And unfortunately, I think that's what happened to my brother, for him to basically disavow me and choose to decide with my mother's rationalization of what happened when we were growing up as kids. I don't blame Kevin for the way he acts. I understand it. He's a big shot, hot movie star, and he can create and enhance his persona anytime he wants. For many years, he has been claiming events that happened to me happened to him.
Like what?
Because he's trying to convince the world that he was a troubled child saved by fear, when in fact he was just a mama's boy. He didn't have all the things that I've read and seen on interviews. They never happened to him. They happened to me. They made me the character I am today, and nobody has the right to steal my identity.
Well, let me ask you a question, too. Now, you suffered severe trauma and abuse. Have you gone through therapy and stuff like that?
No.
Okay.
I healed myself, and that's why I don't recommend my form of therapy to anyone. I recommend kicking and screaming and doing whatever it takes to get someone's attention. My one goal by writing this book is to help one person. If I just help one kid or one adult who has gone through this and help them deal with it, I would have been a success in my life. And that's all I'm looking for. As far as getting rich, it doesn't even enter into it. I didn't write this book for money. I wrote this book to help people.
I don't think anybody gets rich from a book nowadays anyway. It's the publishing business is just pretty much dead, But now, let me ask you this now. Now, you suffered this trauma. Now, one of the results of children who suffer this kind of trauma is they disassociate. Sometimes they'll even they'll create a fake identity, go into acting. Where you're portraying fake characters all the time. Your sister went to a foreign country to marry a man. When 18 years old, she left the country to go find a man in another country. These would all appear to be signs of an entire family that was a victim of this kind of abuse.
Possibly, yes. I can't speak for my sister. I can't speak for my brother. To be perfectly honest, my brother is not an actor. He's not acting at all. Every part that he plays is exactly the way he treats me. Evil, disrespectful, contemptful. That's the kind of parts he plays, but he's not even acting. So I can't even understand why he's got 2 Academy Awards. Anytime he tries to act that requires sensitivity and feelings, the movies bomb. Even his audience doesn't buy it. So he's, as far as I'm concerned, the best actor award in the family is still up for grabs, and I'm hoping to be able to get my shot someday, to be in a movie.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Well, we're getting toward the end. Is there anything I've forgotten to ask you that you think you want to let the audience know?
Well, I have a wonderful relationship with my wife for over 21 years, and she saved me from myself. She accepted me for who I was and never tried to change me, and I owe everything to her. And I'm really happy that I have someone like that in my life, who understands what I went through and who loves me, every day.
How did you wind up in Boise, Idaho?
I was touring with a band that came through Boise, and within a couple of months, the entire band was in jail except me. And I was stranded here, and I had no vehicle. I had a little teeny apartment, and so I didn't even have enough money to go back to Seattle, so I just decided to stay. And I opened up a graphics business while I continued to play drums locally. And about a year later, the local newspaper here wrote an article about my business. And a week later, Trish was a corporate banker and was intrigued by the article and came down to talk to me. And the rest is history. We were instantly drawn to each other because she had been dating and seeing all kinds of corporate types, and they just bored her, and something about me intrigued her, and we fell in love, and we've been together ever since.
Yeah, I tell you, there's something about Idaho. I had to go up there for negotiating this business deal for a while. Beautiful women in Idaho. It's just incredible everywhere you look.
I love this town.
Yeah.
I've lived all over the country. I've toured in 39 states and all through Canada, and this is the place to live. I love it, and I'm very fortunate that I am so well liked and respected in this town, and I earned it. I earned it. I worked really hard to create an image of being responsible and being kind to people, and not judging people, and accepting people for who they are. And that's why my business was so successful, was because people liked to be around me. They would invite me to their events. I wasn't a typical chauffeur, just standing by the car with my arms, crossed over. They would invite me out to dinner, take me to concerts, bring me into parties, So I was part of their celebration, and that was nice to know. And if I hadn't been able to deal with the trauma that I endured as a child, I would have never been able to pull off Rod's limos. But you have to stand naked before yourself and accept the truth and stop blaming everybody else and take responsibility for your own actions, regardless of what the consequences of your decisions might have been at the time. You cannot continue to run away from your pain. As Captain Kirk said, I need my pain. My pain made me who I am. That's who I am today.
Randy Fowler, thank you so much for coming on the show, my friend. That's randybfowler.com, rodslimos.com, and his GoFundMe page, too. Let's get this guy behind the wheel of another limo here. Randy Rods Limo at GoFundMe.com. Listen, my friend, thank you so much.
Bless you, and thank you very much for having me.
Bless you too, sir. Good night.
All right. Bye.
Okay, there we had Randy Fowler, brother of Kevin Spacey. Pretty fascinating stuff. You know, her father was a Nazi. Nazi flags in the office. Wore a Hitler mustache. Is raping Randy here as a young man, as a child. And then you have all this other stuff going on. So draw your own conclusions there. Randy B. Fowler, the book coming out is A Moment in Time, Living in the Shadows. RandyBFowler.com, RodsLimos.com, and his GoFundMe page is Randy Rods Limo. Okay, guys, we're toward the end of the show. I want to thank you so much for listening. Don't forget OppermanReport.com for exclusive content, shows you've never heard before. We have a couple of big shows coming up in the member section. So I hope you enjoyed today's show. And, if you want to advertise or donate, OppermanReport@gmail.com. Thank you so much.